Hello and thanks for staying with us. Welcome to Political Platform on RAPA Radio and Africa Independent Television, AIT. My name is Amechi Anapwe. Now, the political landscape ahead of Nigeria's 2027 general election has taken a decisive turn with the confirmation of Vice President Kashim Shettima as the All Progressives Congress APC's vice presidential candidate for that election. The party has formally uploaded the names and particulars of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Senator Kashim Shettima to the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) nomination portal, effectively putting to rest weeks of speculation over the composition of the ruling party's presidential ticket. While APC supporters describe the decision as a vote of confidence in the Tinubu-Shettima administration and a demonstration of party stability, critics argue that the nomination raises fresh political questions about internal party democracy, regional balancing, electoral strategy, and implications for Nigeria's increasing competitive political environment, especially religious balancing. So, another Muslim ticket is on the card. On Political Platform today, we will examine the significance of Shettima's nomination, what the successful submission of APC's presidential ticket to INEC means for the 2027 electoral process, and whether this development strengthens the ruling party's chances or provides fresh opportunities for the opposition to exploit. We will explore the political implications of candidates' nominations, party cohesion, and what Nigerians should expect as the race to the 2027 gathers momentum. We shall take a look at how other political parties are coping with upload of candidates' names to INEC portal at a time the Independent National Electoral Commission has extended the period for the upload, suggesting that some parties were left behind. They are struggling to meet the deadline, with APC taking a swipe at them, telling them, see, it shows the extent of your organization. We have successfully uploaded ours, according to APC. We'll be joined by Stanley Nkwocha. Stanley Nkwocha is spokesperson to Vice President Kashim Shettima. Also, with me on the program, as usual, my colleagues Uju Eje, Adebo Abodurin, and Mustafa Mohammed. Gentlemen of the press, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning to our esteemed viewers and listeners.
So, the long wait has come to pass. I recall the processes that led to this nomination of Vice President Kashim Shettima. Initially, there were speculations that the president was thinking towards the Northwest. Recall what happened in the APC Northeast Zonal rally, where the name of President Bola Tinubu came up for endorsement and the name of his running mate was not attached to it, prompting supporters of the vice president to go physical. In that, I think that was in Bauchi.
No, it's in Gombe. Actually, you know, for a very long time, whenever they speak of northern Nigeria politically, what comes to mind is to get the representation, whether for the presidency or the vice presidency, from the Northwest. Even when it comes to infrastructural development, employment, appointment, sensitive, whatever for the North, all other Northerners, we have more than 250 different ethnic and tribal groups. The other people from the North, Plateau, Benue, Taraba, Adamawa, Borno, Gombe, have always been left out in favor of the Northwest. You can see how the chances of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar was truncated during the Obasanjo regime. Instead of the North-East taking a shot at the presidency, Yar'Adua was brought in. When Babagana Kingibe was made acting secretary to the government of the Federation, immediately President Jonathan returned from his trip abroad. Kingibe was removed. To so many.
So it was even Yar'Adua that removed Kingibe.
So apology, it was Yar'Adua. So anything that is not Northwest, to so many people, they would think you are not a core Northerner. Appointment of Chief of Defense Staff from Kogi, he was not a core Northerner. But you see, the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is very smart. Smart in the sense that he has a scheme by taking everybody alone. Those who went to Gombe to carry out that shameful outing was actually meant to slide the Northeast region. It was meant to slide the associate of the president, very strong, loyal ally, who is the vice president, Kashim Shettima. Unfortunately for them, their agenda was exposed even before that meeting. And once they started what they wanted to do, there was a revolt both from the governors of the Northeast and other officials from the Northeast of the party.
So you think it wasn't the core supporters of the vice president that did that thing, because
it was not just
they came out in his full defense.
Under APC, the Northeast is a bloc. And if you want to be fair to other Nigerians, why should the Northwest always take the presidency or the vice presidency? If you are talking about numbers, the Northeast also has the required numbers. And then secondly, if you are talking about people with capacity, you remember that the first and only prime minister of the country, the Bauchi province produced it, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. And we had several others when you are talking about political capacity and lots of elites everywhere that can also have the same thing. So that also shows how inclusive President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is.
Okay.
It shows how inclusive the APC as a party is. And of course, even the responses from the people of the Northwest was very positive
Okay.
after Shettima's
Now let's bring in Adeba Aboduru here. Was it the only option for Tinubu continue with Shettima?
Well, I will begin from the moment we embrace presidential system of government. We begin with Shehu Shagari. When Shehu Shagari was to pick his running mate in 1978-79, there are so many things that was taken into consideration. The Southwest then was predominantly UPN. And so he has to go elsewhere, where he will be able to garner votes. And so the options open to him was the South, South, and Southeast. And among the candidates then, the most formidable of them, who supported the party at its takeoff, was Alex Ikweme. And which means he had the interest of the party at heart. And Shagari had no option of settling for him. And if you look at Obasanjo's coming in 1999, the candidate being pushed by the party was Abubakar Rimi,
from the Northwest,
my former boss. He was the one that was being pushed. But Obasanjo was looking for somebody whom he can trust, somebody whom he can confide in and rely upon. And between the period Shehu Musa Yar'Adua died and Atiku took over the leftover political group
Of the PDM.
Atiku Abubakar was continuously briefing Obasanjo on what they are doing. And so he seems to have confidence in him. And he came to Abuja from Jos. He rose from Abuja from Jos. Meanwhile, the party has drafted a statement to announce Abubakar Rimi as the running mate. Obasanjo beat them to it. At the reception of myself and Imune Amarere were at that place, and we broke the news on AIT that they picked Atiku Abubakar.
Fast forward to
what am I saying is that every president picks the person they can trust. Every president.
So loyalty is at the base of it all.
And if you look at the relationship between President Bola Tinubu and Shettima, it started long before Tinubu became a contender for the ticket of APC. After Tinubu left government, one of the governors that attracted Tinubu to himself in terms of commissioning of projects, in terms of naming projects after him, in terms of naming streets after him in Maiduguri, was Shettima.
So a friendship was cultivated.
The friendship was cultivated, and they seem to be having interest in one another. So I was not surprised in 2023 when he picked Shettima as his running mate. What am I saying in essence is that every presidential candidate picks somebody they can trust.
Uju, is it more of trust than competence here, or compatibility?
That's what I may not totally agree with, because you know, in a way, I will answer it from two angles. It is good to work with somebody that you can trust, somebody that you can flow with, if I may use our modern day English, somebody that you can flow with. But at the same time,
we're talking English.
But at the same time, we're talking about a nation, a country faced with so much challenges in almost every sector, challenges security-wise. And for me, competence would be the first choice. Competence, somebody who can actually join hands with the president to bring the succor that Nigerians have been desiring. So for me, competence is first. But at the same time, you won't blame the man who wants to pick somebody that he can relate with. Although for me, it is one of the greatest challenges of our political journey in Nigeria, where personal interest, paddy and all of those kind of things have taken a front burner compared to bringing solutions and fulfilling the aspirations of the Nigerian people. Why would you go to somebody that you want to be able, that should be loyal to you? Is it somebody who will cover your back? Is it somebody, who can not question some of the things you may want to do wrong? These are the things that we need to consider. I do not agree with this style of, oh yes, he has to pick somebody he can work. What about the other competent persons? And who says that another person cannot be loyal to him if picked? Who says that another competent person we don't be loyal to him? But because we have not explored, we prefer to depend on the old friends that we have. And because of that, we're not opening the doors to new talents. We're not opening the doors to new people with the capacity that is needed to run this country. Albeit, they've worked for almost 4 years. I don't know. They can work for another 4 years, but I do not agree.
Points. Very interesting point. Issue of loyalty, issue of competence. But the underlying factor is that a vice presidential candidate is an alternate president.
Yes.
You understand what I mean? Because in America's politics, where we borrow the presidential system of government from, when they are campaigning, they say, take a look at the vice presidential candidate. Is this someone you can trust with presidential powers? That's one. Another thing is loyalty. It's important. Another thing is value, competence. Very important. We have reduced, apparently, loyalty in Nigeria to loyalty to the man at the end. Loyalty should be to the state,
yes,
to the Nigerian state.
Exactly.
Loyalty first to the Nigerian state before to the president. If you apportion loyalty to the president first, then secondarily to the state, there's a huge problem. You begin to build personality cult. You begin to tilt towards a president who may not indeed have national interests at heart. The essence is, if there is a derailment from the part of the president, the vice president, or further down the rank, will nudge the president back and say, look, Look at where we are supposed to go with. It doesn't remove the issue of loyalty because you need someone you trust. But the question now is, at one point, which one takes preeminence? Is it loyalty or competence?
You're
Loyalty
talking
to a
about
person or
you're
the
talking about a structure, Doctor. I, as a news reporter, a senior reporter, I cover the presidential villa. I do not expect somebody who is not within the circle to really understand what goes on between the two. The president has, the past 3 years of being the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, has always engaged the vice president, whose seat many people refer to as spare tire, to test through asking him to stand in for him in so many occasions, at so many events, at so many assignments, both within Nigeria, which I've had the privilege of traveling around to cover the assignment, and outside Nigeria, traveling around to cover an assignment. And when you're talking about a vice presidential running mate, it's not like a football team that you need 11 players and some substitute. You needed only one person. Therefore, your focus as the main candidate should be on who can you work with. Who is not even about being loyal. Who do you think you can trust? Underline the word trust. Once the trust is there, somebody can deliver on your mandate, then you pick him. We are not saying in the whole of northern Nigeria or the northeast is only Shetima that is a capable person. We have a lot of elites, we have a lot of capable people. Even, all the other people you can mention can also get the slot. But luckily it's for Shetima. And as far as I'm concerned, the president is not wrong in his choice. The only other thing I can say is I wish them well. I wish them a good outing.
Well, for me, it's a political game. I'm not saying we should...
Political balancing is also essential.
Yes, we should emphasize competence, loyalty to the nation. In a political game, there is so many calculations that will bring into reckoning. And one of those things is that, like Obasanjo said, Obasanjo was one of the presidents in this country since 1999 that periodically held media chats with journalists. And in one of these media chats, he said, "Are you expecting me to pick an enemy as my running mate?" I'm interpreting that to mean, are you expecting me to pick somebody who will not work with me as my running mate? So there are so many things that go into consideration. And in a political game, there are so many things that you will consider. And the issue of compatibility is something that you cannot sidetrack. Whether in the presidency, at the level of the presidency, or at the level of states and subnational nationalities between governor and deputy governor. We have seen a situation where the governors, if you look at this republic, is one we have recorded the highest impeachment of deputy governors because of the disagreement with their principal. So are we
on what basis?
It may not be something that is that you will applaud, but disagreement.
No, many of them were impeached based on the fact that for instance, when the governor moves and he fails to move with him, these are people that are loyal to the state, perhaps loyal to the party. The first loyalty should be to the state, second to the party, and third to the candidate.
But it's not the same in Nigeria.
Because recall what happened
and it's not right.
in US. Donald Trump, just after that Capitol invasion by some mob, Mike Pence, his vice presidential candidate, was not in support of it and he stood against it. Does it mean that he was not loyal to Trump? But when it comes to the Constitution of the United States, or when it comes to Constitution of Nigeria or national interest of Nigeria, do you take decisions based on loyalty to the principal or loyalty to the state? And I'm raising these terms because we see a situation where this loyalty thing is assuming a larger than life. Security agencies, rather than being loyal to the state, are channeling all their loyalty to the president,
to the governors,
the bureaucracy. Rather than being loyal first to the constitution and the state, you see them lean towards the man that has the power, building personality cults.
You see, even the example that he gave during the time of Obasanjo, a lot of people also criticized it at that time because there was one particular case, the second term, where Dr. Alex Ekweme was so comfortable that, he had become the vice presidential candidate or aspirant at that point in time. You see, because even up to 3 a.m. at the National Assembly, the legislators had agreed to give him a block vote. But somehow Atiku Abubakar moved in between that 3 a.m. and 7 a.m., 10 a.m., the table changed. And he was able to secure the second term. He was not even the original choice because at that point in time, Obasanjo was not comfortable with Atiku Abubakar. They had their differences, and that difference was going to affect his choice as vice presidential candidate. But somehow he was able to overturn everything and he returned as vice presidential candidate. And when you look at Shettima, don't forget that even within the core North, there are some people who think that he's carrying some baggages that shouldn't recommend him as a vice presidential candidate. When you talk about Boko Haram, the emergence and a whole lot of things, some fingers still point at him. But Tinubu...
That's not true.
Please,
he wasn't the governor they are talking about forming the Boko Haram. Let me quickly correct it.
I know that you can talk of Alimodu Sheriff.
He was not the one paying Boko Haram from the government house, so that's very wrong. You need to correct it quickly.
No, I'm not correcting anything because I know what I'm talking about.
This is misleading.
Yes, I know what I am talking about. You see, because you can talk about Alimodu Sheriff being there at the onset, but fingers still point at him.
Are they
so
fingers?
I'm not saying he's guilty.
Or fingers with evidence to back it up.
No, that's why
misleading.
I am saying that there are some people who are still making that allegation, but we do not know if it is right or wrong because nothing has been proved against him.
Okay,
but I'm talking about public perception. Yes. Of course, the allegations. I mean, am I a judge?
Okay, yeah.
Because as journalists, we shouldn't be taking allegations.
Allegations, and they have not been proved. But some people still hold it against him, and some other things. And the fact that he did not move in to quell Boko Haram, they believe that he had the power to stop it at that point, at the point where he was a governor. So all of these are there. But in spite of all that, Tinubu has said, notice that I'm not even talking about the Muslim thing. For me, growing up in Nigeria under General Yakubu Gowon and others, tribe and religion has never been a consideration for me. But competence, capacity, somebody who can turn things around and make Nigerians happy and make us not to be disdained by a country as small as Ghana, by Cambodia saying Nigerians should get out, South Africans throwing us out, making us a laughing stock in the Committee of Nations. You go to UK now, UK that you go, you say, I'm a Nigerian, people look at you with respect. Now they look down on us. A man who can restore the dignity of this country.
That's what as a journalist,
Mustafa, she says these are allegations that are out there. It's not coming from
in fact, as a journalist, you don't even bring things that you don't have proof to come and start talking about somebody alleging that he does this and that. It's actually very, very, very wrong. I totally disagree. What we have in the country are security agencies. If anybody has anything that is concrete with evidence, should have gone to the security agencies. During President Goodluck Jonathan knew who was giving money to Boko Haram monthly from the government house. Goodluck Jonathan would have arrested that former governor. Even when the Maiduguri airport was closed, that former governor was the only one with private jet that will land in Maiduguri and get and fly out. So the issue of trying to drag the vice president,
you're now raising an allegation against
it is actually very, very, very wrong. Anybody who has evidence against you should bring it out. And if there's no evidence out there, you know that it's a total falsehood.
But
then it doesn't even affect his choice as Tinubu's vice presidential candidate. I just stated what people are saying, what people have, and then it's his choice. He has chosen him when they work together.
Let's put it on record. Vice President Kashim Shettima has since put all these allegations, thrown it outside, saying there is no shred of evidence to link him to that. And I think
exactly.
But the issue of Muslim ticket, it worked magic in 2023, how relevant will it be in 2027, Adebayo Badura?
Well, for me, who has covered politics in this country for almost 4 decades, issue of religion is a very touchy issue. And I don't think for a very long time, unless we embark on what Kwame Nkrumah called conscientization, on which he wrote a book. We have not conscientized Nigerians to know that religion is at the level of individual. But Muslim ticket worked for Abiola. Muslim, that is Baba Kana Kingibe and Abiola. Muslim, the same uproar that we have now, we are having now, is the same thing we had then. And it worked in their favor. 2023 is also work in favor of Tinubu. And I think that's why I spoke about calculations. Where do I get the highest votes? And so, it's a case of calculation.
Because it's all about winning first.
Yeah.
Winning is more important for politicians and political parties.
No matter which way you look at it, in the entire North, the largest population, although it is being disputed, the largest population are Muslims. You take states like Kano, you take states like Sokoto, you take states like Kebbi, Zamfara, Katsina, and along others like that. But in states like Gombe, Bauchi, Borno, you have Muslims and Christians. But in those states, dominant figures, the dominant population are Muslims. And so it maybe it's part of Tinubu's calculation that the best way I can get, and then no matter which way we also look at it, the largest voting population is in the North. And so the way I can get the largest voting population in my favor is that kind of an arrangement. But I do hope that as this nation moves forward, as we grow this democracy, if it's not truncated, and I pray it will not be truncated.
It will not be truncated.
It will not be truncated, that we will continue to de-emphasizing this, and we have in place a government that will take seriously the issue of conscientizing Nigeria. Conscientization. Nkrumah preached it as far back as 1959 in Ghana. And he was in the process of doing it when he was overthrown. We need similar policy in Nigeria to conscientize Nigeria, to raise the awareness of the need for unity, cohesion, the need for us to de-emphasize religious differences. We need to do it. The NO is in place. We have an agency that can continue, can do it. But you can't carry out...
Is it what NOA will do? Is it not deep-rooted?
Why is it not deep-rooted?
Those campaigns?
If you have the policy, spearheaded by the political leaders, an agency can take it off from there. It's a policy that will be driven by the leadership style. A policy that will be driven by policies formulated by government. It's not a policy that you mouth. You don't talk of coalition. You don't talk of unity. You don't talk of removing religious differences. You don't talk of playing down ethnic affiliation and all the rest without seriously working towards it.
Because in 2023, when the Muslim ticket came, the other parties, especially Labour Party, started targeting Christian votes in the North.
You know, it's not the first time. I can tell you as far back as the First Republic, one of the biggest strengths of Obafemi Awolowo action group then was the Christian population in the North. You find that is why even in Second Republic, he was very, very popular in the old Adamawa.
And Obafemi Awolowo did a Christian ticket in 1979.
Yeah, you find a place like the old Gongola State. It was one of the places where the Unity Party of Nigeria formed the government, the first government there in 1979. So it's a calculation of politicians. Where do I have my strength?
Okay. But you see, again, you find that most of those men were nationalists. And what was a nationalist? I mean, he wasn't an ethnic bigot. He was a nationalist, and for them, religion didn't matter much in leadership, but competence. competence, who will deliver. If you look at even the configuration in the Southwest at the time that Awo was alive, it wasn't much about a mixture of Christian or Christian Muslim, It was a matter of who was good enough to deliver the party's manifesto, the party's mandate for the people. That was what it was. And for what Bayo Bodunri talked about, it would also require enlightenment. Enlightenment, you see, what the people hear all the time has a way of influencing them. I remember some of those jingles that we used to have on Radio Nigeria 2, FM station in Lagos. Oh, like you have, the highway is not a road track. Remember those you left at home are waiting to welcome you safely back home. It went a lot in guaranteeing safe driving in Lagos because people were hearing it repeatedly. It helped to form their
psyche. So it has to be drummed down
their mindset. Ears. Exactly. It is something that the NOA, if well funded, can do. And other bodies can also pick it up from there. Let's de-emphasize the things that scatter us, that separate us. Let's emphasize the things that bring us together.
You know what?
Let's go. Time for us to go on a break. When we come back, we are still expecting Stanley Nkwocha, spokesperson to Vice President Kashim Shettima, to join us. Beyond that, we'll also be looking at the other presidential ticket in the other parties. Talk about the NDC and the ADC. Do stay with us.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT on air, online, online.
Get ready for a bold new chapter in political discourse. The conversations that matter most are stepping into the spotlight like never before. Political platform, the hard-hitting, no-holds-barred program you have trusted on Raypa Radio is making a powerful move to television. Tune in to Africa Independent Television, AIT, as political platform debuts on your screen, bringing deeper analysis, sharper debates, and the voices shaping our nation's future right into your screens. From policy and politics breakdowns to real-time discussions with key stakeholders, this is more than a program. It is where opinions are tested, truths are uncovered, and the people's voice is heard. Join seasoned hosts and expert guests as they tackle the issues that define our democracy. No filters, no distractions, just real talk. Political platform now on AIT, 9 to 10 a.m. every weekday. Stay informed, stay engaged, be part of the conversation.
In the hallowed chambers where laws are forged and a nation's destiny is decided.
This is your parliamentary program, Inside the Parliament on AIT.
Voices rise, opinions clash, debates ignite.
We cannot be apologetic in the discharge of our constitutional duties as lawmakers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The burden of proving that the elections have been peacefully and in accordance with law must shift to INEC.
From the Senate to the House of Representatives, this is where policies are tested, laws are crafted, and authority is held to account.
We spoke to some lawmakers on their opinions of the document presented by the president.
Every motion, every argument carries the hopes of millions.
We need more hospitals, more health clinics in communities so that they can effectively take care of the primary health need of our people.
The questions are tough. The exchanges are intense.
Mr. President, you can have your way, but I will have my say. You can use the gavel, and I will use my voice.
And those who want the proviso are 55 in number. And so the proviso says.
But who truly stands for the people? Who is driving the change that defines our tomorrow?
GTBT, whatever.
Get the answers on Where Nigeria Decides on Inside the Parliament on AIT every Tuesday, 4:30 p.m.
Good news for eligible Nigerian citizens. The ongoing continuous voter registration exercise has been extended to Sunday, the 26th of July, 2026, giving you more time to register.
The easiest part, starting from Wednesday, 8th July, you can start and complete your registration online using your phones, tablet, or smart devices.
Your fingerprint and photograph can now be captured online. Just visit cvr.inecnigeria.org to register.
Remember, the physical registration option is still available at all INEC states, local government offices, and designated centers.
No more excuses. Don't wait till the last minute. Register today.
This message is brought to you by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, making your vote count, consolidating our democracy.
Thank you so much for staying with us. It's all about the 2027 presidency issue of presidential ticket, meaning the presidential and vice presidential tickets settled. For the APC, which we have been analyzing, it is a presidential candidate from the Southwest and a vice presidential candidate from the Northeast. This successful pair that emerged victorious in 2023. For the ADC is a presidential candidate from the Northeast and a vice presidential candidate from the South. Talking about former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and former Governor Chibike Rotimi Amechi. For the NDC, it is Peter Obi from the Southeast as presidential candidate and Rabi Musa Kwankwaso from the Northwest, Kano to be precise, as vice presidential candidate. So every other region except North Central, not in the big league, gentlemen of the press. Am I wrong?
Yeah, talking about North Central that have produced, if I'm correct, 2 military or 3 military heads of state. We're talking about Yakubu Gawan, Ibrahim Babangida, Abdusalami, Abubakar. Maybe in the next general election, who knows whether another like you one will come out of that.
But in this Fourth Republic, North Central has not been a president nor a vice president, and from every indication may not be in the 2027.
When they have produced Senate president, you have David Mark, you have Abubakar Olusola,
Saraki.
You have Saraki. So North Central, it's not as if they are they have been completely left out.
There are something for them.
And I mean, the Senate president is number 3.
At least if they miss the head of the game, they can go home with the tail.
So they have not been completely left out. If you look at it in a way, and we are happy that nothing has truncated the processes. If the president and the vice president is removed from office, the Senate president steps in. So they are in the top hierarchy, the third hierarchy of a leadership. They have not been left out completely.
So there's always something for them.
Yes, but for them, they want that number one, and it has been a source of pain to them because I recall that with every election, they protest a lot because if you look at the number of votes that come out from the Northwest, it's very huge. And they believe that if they're able to give those number of votes, at least they should be considered. And for the fact that we are not considering military rule at this point in time, but the journey since democratic rule returned to Nigeria, so they want to be there, is a thing of pain for them. Well, they will get it eventually, I believe, but for now, this is what we have.
If you look at the choices, take Peter Obi, for instance. He settled for Rabi Musa Kwankwaso, a 2-term governor of Kano State, former Minister of Defense, and a political leader of sorts, because in the absence of Abubakar Rimi, Malam Aminu Kano died in the Second Republic. He will appear to be one of the foremost. I'm not saying the entirely foremost in Kano, and that block vote he has been getting at every turn of every election is perhaps what to be targeting. And if you look at Rotimi Amaechi too, as running mate to Atiku Abubakar in this forthcoming election, he's from the South. He was a two-time governor, two-time minister,
two-time speaker,
and then he has a dual. Do I say a dual ethnic background?
Yeah.
You know, South and Southeast. He's an Igbo-speaking person. So there are all these calculations. That's why I said before, nobody will go out to look for a candidate that will not make impact,
that will not bring value. Because look at all the vice presidential candidates of these parties we are considering. They are all former governors.
Yeah.
Two-time governors, Kwankwaso, two-time governor in Kano, Shetima, two-time governor in Borno, Amaechi, two-time governor in Rivers, Shetima, former senator, Amaechi, former minister, Kwankwaso, former senator, former minister. So they are bringing so much value in terms of political resources, votes, structure, experience, and everything.
I think experience is the most valuable thing that they may be bringing at this point in time, because again, some people will ask you, which experience did they excel as governors, or is it just because they have been two-time governors? Does that make them stand out? But again, if you look at the people who were in the contest, you find that these ones who have been chosen are people who appeared to have more value than the others. If you look at those who wanted to contest under the NDC, you find that Kwankwaso stood heads above, for presidential, for vice presidential slot. The man, the Kwankwasia movement is one of the greatest in the north, if you ask me. Maybe you can say restricted to Kano, but it's like an 80-90% thing where he holds sway, and that's quite a lot. And then you talk about Amaechi. Amaechi also has experience. I believe that as the speaker, he did quite a lot for Rivers State. As a speaker, he was able to wield a lot of influence, and he had a lot of knowledge to manage the legislature and the political terrain at that time, even as a speaker of the state. And then as governor, yes, there are some things that may not have been, as good as should be. But again, because you had somebody like the man I call the Lion of Rivers, breathing down his neck at that point in time. But he managed to hold sway, and in a way, he came out fairly well as a governor. So he has a lot to offer. And then you look at all the other persons that wanted to contest, who would have been able to rival him for that position amongst the people that came out at that point in time. There was basically no other person in the NDC. And so he came in, and then he's somebody who's known as a party loyalist. Remember how he supported APC for the presidency, Buhari for that matter, and then he put in resources, everything. He's a party loyalist, and they believe he will replicate it in NDC.
Out of these three vice presidential candidates, two of them have been presidential candidates in the past, or aspirants at least. Amaechi was a presidential aspirant. Was he second or third? He came in 2023 PC primaries. I think he came second.
Third. Is it not third?
Between him and Oshibanjo, who verified that. So he's someone who thinks he should be a president. Rabiu Kwankwaso has been a presidential candidate, someone who thinks he should also be a president. It's only Kashim that has not, for now, aspired to be a president.
You see, what you should learn is that amongst all the people who have become presidents or vice presidents, these people also qualify. If you look at the criteria, two-time governors. Tinubu was a two-time governor of Lagos State.
Today,
former senator. And then you look at, I think it's the governorship that even qualifies more. And then you look at Amaechi, two-time governor. Kwankwasia. this, the same thing. So they all qualify amply. I do not see what those other people have that they do not have in terms of criteria.
It will be interesting, and you know very well that the 2027 presidential election would attract a lot of interest and competition. Because both the presidential and vice presidential candidates of the parties who have analyzed today bring so much to the table. Let's hear what you're telling us in the feedback section. In our mailbox, we have sent some mails as we go into citizen perspective now, where we read some of the mails you've sent to us. And Nephew Okuntia from Sangota in Ogun State is the first one, and he reads, increase in WAEC and NECO fees amidst high rate of out-of-school children. Please, where is the renewed hope of President Tinubu? Hike in WAEC fee from 27,000 to 50,000 is the height of insensitivity by the government. This shows that those in authority today are really disconnected from the people and the reality on ground. The so-called renewed hope of Tinubu is paradoxical, hopeless, and without concern for the poor masses. The wife of the president recently talked about giving some women 50,000 for a kuli business, but turn around to collect back the 50,000 through WAEC fees and high cost of living in a time that basic education up to secondary school is supposed to be free. Where is NLC and TUC? Where is Association of Nigerian Student Nuns? President Tinubu is maybe among those that enjoy free education in Nigeria, but today he has closed the door against poor Nigerians. We must rise up now to tell President Tinubu that enough is enough. Let the poor breathe, he ends. Comrade Monda Ame in Abuja is the second mail. And he says the news of the safe rescue of 44 pupils and teachers kidnapped by terrorists from a rural local government area of Oyo State on May 15, 2026 by the combined efforts of our security agents is fantastically cheering and exceedingly joyous. I wish to commend our gallant security agents for their relentless efforts in this regard and urge them to intensify measures to ensure early release of innocent school children of Musa Primary and Junior Secondary School in Askira Oba, local government area of Borno State, innocent Nigerians from Kayama Woro community of Kwara State, and other abducted victims across the country unharmed. Kudos to President Bola Tinubu, GCFR, NSA, that's the National Security Advisor, the Oyo State Government, Amotekun, Sunday Igboho-led Iruekun, Security Network, and all those who worked assiduously behind the scenes to ensure the safe rescue of their abductees.
And Mark Patrick Linus sent this in from Kubwa, Abuja. It says, in the aftermath of the last deadly terrorist attacks in Jos, President Tinubu promised the victims and Jos residents during his visit on Thursday, 2nd April, that the federal government would begin installing more than 5,000 AI-enabled security cameras with plans to expand the network across the state. According to him, the cameras would help security agencies identify, track, and arrest those responsible for violent attacks in the state. More than 3 months into that promise, can the media please confirm if these cameras have been installed or are already purchased to be installed? Next one is from Emeka Mbausu from Abuja. It says, native South Africans will wake up and decide that their fellow Africans, especially Nigerians, who migrated to the country must leave, abandoning their businesses and careers built over the years. And the government of South Africa will sit back and watch them enforce that draconian decision. And I ask, what is it that Nigeria benefits from South Africa that the Nigerian government always condones the killing and maiming of its citizens in South Africa, destroying, confiscating their businesses and investments, and chasing them out of the country like common criminals? Nigerian government should deal with South Africa decisively by recalling the Nigerian ambassador to that country, send the ambassador packing, severing diplomatic relations with them, and also sealing and taking over their investments in Nigeria. Why are we not doing this already? Unless some of the loots of our leaders are hidden in that country. That's the explanation.
Thank you so much for the mails. Just to quickly tell you that Chibike Rotimi Amechi came second in the APC presidential primary in 2020. 2023, defeating a sitting vice president. Perhaps it speaks volumes about his political capacity. We are now being joined by our guest, better late than never, I may say, Stanley Nkwocha, spokesperson to Vice President Kashim Shettima. What kept you back? All this while, I've been waiting patiently.
But maybe I think I should fire the first question. Was there an anxiety before Shettima's name was announced after the president got the ticket, that period?
Of course not. Of course not. I mean, if you know the personality of this vice president, a true party man, a loyalist to the core, one who believes in the new hope agenda of Mr. President, there was nothing like that. Okay, he has always believed that, look, power comes from God. And I remember the very first time he appointed me, and I went to his office, you know, the day I resumed. And after expressing my gratitude, he said, Stanley, you're going to be in charge of my image, you're going to be in charge of my publicity, my communications, and of course, my brand. But in anything you do, there is a red line you should not cross. And that is assuming that there are two presidents in this villa. There is, and will always be one president. Always be in, think, and thought of that. And that's what has
So loyalty came in as a strong consideration.
Of course, it's a strong consideration. Of course, too, like I said, he's believed in the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President. He's never diluted it in any way. He's always committed to it. If you see the way I'm manner, the president's vision is his vision. The president's thoughts are his thoughts. The president's work ethics are his own work ethics. As a matter of fact, you would see him. Let me give you an instance. Once there were issues that would have come up, and then his first thinking would be, what would the president think of this? And there was a day he went to see the president and came back, and he just put his hand on the head on his table, and we're like, Your Excellency, what is it? He said, this man loves me so much, he trusts me so much. Ever since I resumed working with him, he has never rejected any memo I have ever taken to him. So it tells you, look, that there is camaraderie, there is spirit of bonding, and there is total understanding of what the president wants to achieve, and this vice president is committed to it in total.
There was, although it had been overtaken by events now, why there was this anxiety or that Shettima may be dropped?
Yes.
They had their differences then, didn't they?
No, there was never a time. You can quote me. I'm the vice president's spokesperson, right? I'm in the villa. I work in the villa. And I can tell you that, look, sometimes if you guys are seated here, Mustafa, Ebo, Uju, Doctor, don't ever think that people are not interested in your seats. If you leave this chair today, you're going to be so shocked at the number of persons that be wanting to sit on it. So it's natural for you to have aspirations. It's natural for you to engage in gimmicks, for you to ask who it is. But the part maybe we wouldn't like is when you begin to cast aspersion on the president and, of course, begin to bring the reputation of Mr. Vice President into this. And I'll give you an example. You all remember when they said the president barred the vice president from entering the villa. We all remember that story. You understand? And then you begin to wonder, how on earth could the president bar the vice president from the villa? That never existed. It was a total fallacy on its own. And also, again, too, I give you yet another...
Very quickly, please.
Oh, okay, fine. So I give you some examples, you understand. And then when you check them through, you find out that, look, these are all gimmicks that would... And you, as the vice president's custodian of his image and brand, if you rush to certain decisions, given what it is that you see in publication, you might be hesitant enough and make some errors. So you must have that state of mind. You must be calm and, of course, see through the intent and purpose of whatever mischievous reports and reportage is being circulated out there. And I think that is what has guided us. Believe in the system, loyalty, and, of course, total belief in where the president is headed to. You could see his vision. And when you see the vice president comment about the integrity, the purpose of leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, take me for my words. He's not missing words with it. He's totally serious and totally committed to
Thank you so much. At least we'll have a piece of the cake. The little
we would have wanted more. We would have wanted a bigger piece.
Anytime you want me, I'll give you a free blanket. I'll come here. And a wonderful job you guys do here, by the way.
We'll have to thank you so much. Stanley Nkwocha, spokesperson of Vice President Kashim Shettima, for making our time to join us today.
It's my pleasure.
And thank you also for being part of the program, our listeners and viewers. I will be here again tomorrow. That's Tuesday for another edition. My name is Amechi Anapue.
Thank God for the rescue of the Orire teachers and students. We rejoice with their families. We rejoice with Oyo State government.